Hey guys, what's Yoda's favorite television show? Murder, She Wrote. Welcome back to the king of Iron Fist Tournament 7. Enter the Tekken. I have quite a bit of history with Tekken as far as the casual side is concerned. Having played near damn every Tekken, at least the main ones, albeit the consumer versions, from the original trilogy of Tekken games on the PlayStation, playing Tekken Tag Tournament on the PlayStation 2, Tekken 4 and 5 also on the PS2, and then when the series went multi-platform with Tekken 6 and Tekken Tag Tournament 2, I consider Tekken alongside Mortal Kombat to be my all-time favorite fighting game series. So not only having an ongoing story that's a lot more interesting than General Hospital, but having really decent gameplay that's not exactly dumbed down. At least until Tekken 6 started to kind of do that sort of thing, but it wasn't really that impactful. I should also mention that while Tekken 5 Dark Resurrection is a thing, I would like to mention that while it is absolutely a fantastic game to play and to go, its soundtrack compared to Tekken 5 is absolutely trash, and I will die on that hill. Just like the topic for today's little special, if you want to call it, because I haven't done one of these in a while, and since Tekken 8 is a thing, I'm going to go ahead and say this now. I fucking hate Tekken 7, for one good reason, and it's because of this character. More on that later. This is going to be a half odd, because apparently people say odd now instead of ass, because apparently they have to try and be cute about bypassing censorship. The Tekken 7 half-odd retrospective Goki Edition EX, or X if you just want to be lame about it. I know some people really get triggered when I bring up Akuma. I'm sorry, but I ain't letting that shit go. Not until Tekken 8 comes out. And until it does, consider this the final epitaph of my burning rage against Tekken 7 and how Akuma ruined the story forever. But before we get to that, let's talk about the other things that made Tekken 7 so fucking awful. But of course, to sprinkle in the good side of things before I completely rip this game a new one, a la Lorino, let's actually talk about some of the few good things this game's actually done throughout its fucking dead-ass life cycle. What did Tekken 7 actually do that was decent as far as its launch was concerned? Okay, let's see. The graphics are obviously impressive. The stage variety is actually pretty good. Let's see. You have a decent cast of characters, although not as good as Tekken 6, but it being the first true next-gen experience at the time, I can let it slide. Let's see. The controls are mostly the same, with the addition of things like rage arts and the other maneuver that also costs that red thing. Instead of having a cinematic super, you have an EX move, I guess, that also uses up the comeback move that everyone hates. The game also added in an even easier option because apparently Tekken is too complex for people. Treasure battles, which is decent way of letting you play against the custom opponents like you could in the other games, which is kind of cool. You have an actual story mode for the first time, which even something like Street Fighter V is at least okay, except it was by Capcom, so they fucking ruined it. You have Kazumi being a thing, and she's by far the most important Tekken character ever because she was only mentioned in the Tekken 2 OVA, and funny enough, the background when you fight Heihachi in Tekken 2, which is interesting, she's essentially the most important character you finally get to play as her, so that's interesting. The game still has a local versus mode unlike Tekken Revolution, so that's obviously a plus. You also have the Infinite Azure, which is probably my favorite stage, and even the PlayStation version has a VR mode, which unfortunately is not like that Tekken 2 mode, but whatever. Before I rip the story into a new one, let's talk about all the other shit about Tekken 7 that annoys the fuck out of me. Seriously, I cannot comprehend a fighting game like this that came out in 2017 for consumers, and they still have such lackluster content in fighting games. Even King of Fighters 14 had more to do, but I'll fucking digress. The lack of replay value in offline modes. Okay, what do you get for offline modes? You get the story mode, which most of the fights is just really gimmicky bullshit, particularly things like the Tekken Force user who uses a gun against Lars, which is really fucking stupid. It was kinda cool to be able to play as young Kazuya and showing Heihachi, back before Heihachi threw Kazuya off the cliff. That was kinda cool, I guess, but every other fight in the story mode has things you can't use outside of story mode, and would you believe it that Namco actually drip-fed story costumes that you couldn't even unlock through customization until they added it as some sort of really gay update? Seriously, why the fuck would you drip-feed costumes in a story mode that you're only going to play once and probably never play it again? Seriously, you have Nina's costume, leather costume or some shit. You had Jin's stupid... What the fuck is it? Some really weird desert-like costume? I forget. I did a video talking about this a long time ago. And shit on Mortal Kombat X and 11 all you want, but at least you got content that you could only get by playing the story mode. Whether it be character costumes or even the few arenas you actually unlock. And most of the arenas you unlock in Mortal Kombat X are just variants of existing stages. It was still something that you had to play story mode to get. So at least worth playing that shit once. And only once. What else do you have? Remember when Tekken used to have an arcade mode? The thing that people seem to fucking hate now because a lot of fighting games half-ass it. Even games like Street Fighter V, the best fighting game ever made, became of a correct arcade mode even when they fucking added it. Well, somehow Tekken can get away with having such a half-ass arcade mode, it's not even funny. You get 5 fights and that's basically it. You get 3 random fights, a 4th fight against some character, whether it be Jin or Heihachi, and the 5th fight you get Kazumi, and very rarely Akuma. I barely got this fucker to appear as an opponent in the game, and even though there's a story mode equivalent of Akuma you fight in the story mode, you don't get to fight that version in arcade mode. It's just regular Kuma with one of the sages having you fight him, and that's basically it. There is an unplayable version of Kazumi, however, and she goes by Devil Kazumi, and for whatever reason, you can't play as her. It's really ironic that when Soul Calibur 6 came out after Tekken 7, they actually solved this exact issue by not only letting you unlock Inferno for use in offline play, but they actually made it so you can't use them in online play, and if you try to change the game values to play as Inferno online, the game has a really tricky cheat detection system where it just completely Thanos' Inferno out of existence. I can't speak for if custom characters use Inferno's weapon style in online modes, but considering people bitched about the lizard tail, whatever, I can't really comment on that. Tekken 7 doesn't really have the luxury of playing as Devil Kazumi. And ever since Tekken 5, they've been starting making bosses unplayable, which is really fucking stupid. Even Tekken Tag Tournament 2's Wii U version at least let you unlock Unknown, which went to clear arcade mode once. It was fucking dumb, but at least it was something. Also to compensate for the fact that everyone was already unlocked. And yeah, I know there's an unplayable version of Unknown actually has the more stronger moves, but whatever. A lot of fighting games do that. But just not be able to play as the better version of Kazumi is fucking lame. I mentioned that with the praise of the game, Tekken 7's main mode of replay value is that you get to play treasure battles. Remember the survival mode for Street Fighter V that nobody fucking liked? You fight in a stage with 5 opponents, and after the 5 opponents, you move on to a new stage. There are sometimes variables in the fight that make it more interesting, like not being able to block, lower gravity, whatever shit is in there. It's meant to be a mixture of the arcade mode from Tekken 5 and other games that is essentially an endless mode, but without the survival rule set. And it's a decent way to be able to unlock the character customization parts that you can use in the customized mode, because Tekken 6 has actually refined the customization system and then Tag 2 just kind of completely shot all over it. And even with Tekken 7, reusing the exact same customization assets from there, but remember guys, you can't complain about reused assets, whether it be Spider-Man swinging around, or even something as egregious as Elden Ring, where you literally have Capra Demon for no fucking reason. Games never reuse asset, guys. You know, games never do that sort of thing. Even as far back as Super Mario Bros. Or Sonic the Hedgehog, never reuse assets once. They made that shit from the ground up, son. But anyway, let's continue. Treasure Battle is a fucking joke, and the reason I say the Treasure Battle is a joke is because when you go into Versus Mode and you do 2,000 battles, you unlock everything in the game. The character costumes, the story mode extras, and whatever other bullshit that you normally unlock by playing the game. You can actually do that. All you have to do is just have 2 turbo controllers and leave your system on for a couple days and hope your electric bill doesn't go up, but it's possible. Except here's the thing. As with a lot of fighting games now, you get DLC. And for whatever reason, they make it so that you do not get the extra custom shit for DLC characters. And either Eliza or... yeah, I think it was just Eliza, because she's technically DLC as well. Let's talk about her for a second, actually. Why the fuck would Namco take a character from one of the worst fucking Tekken games ever put on a console and give her zero purpose? I really hate to use a phrase that's now coined by an infamous live streamer who I poke fun at every now and then without saying that name because he'll strike me down from the heavens. Because apparently people think that this shit is funny, but then this shit isn't, and I'm not going to explain why. You should know why that's just fucking wrong, but I'll fucking digress. In the story mode, after you complete the main course, you get story battles, which is basically one fight for the characters that did not get a major story role. A lot of them either consist of horribly written joke, character assassination, nothing burgers, or in the rare case of maybe Hwoarang and Jin, or even Steve and Nina, depending on who you pick, because it's kind of like in Sonic 06, where the cutscenes are literally different depending who you play as, and who knows which one is fucking canon. They make Eliza related to Lily in some weird way, but then Namco just fucking makes her into a narcolepsy joke, and that's basically it. You have a character who can throw projectiles, like Akuma. You have a bussy chick, like every other Tekken character, even Nina, even though she should be really fucking old at this point, but cryo is a thing. I guess people kind of forget that thing. You already have devils in this universe, so that could be something. And even some of the DLC characters, like Safina, having that really shitty Tekken 6 boss that nobody fucking likes, but they never use any of the DLC characters in the story mode. And even the few that are actually interesting, like the Prime Minister, I forget her name, I think it's Lydia or some shit. I don't really fucking know. I don't really care. I'm too pissed off to give a damn, okay? Eliza has absolutely no fucking purpose besides being a fan service character, and it wouldn't be such a fucking shame if they actually used her instead of Akuma. But we're not done yet, because I want to bitch about some other pointless shit before I get into the main course. Out of all the DLC, the ones that really annoy me the most are the legacy characters and the 3 guest characters. I'm gonna elaborate on this, and I'm gonna fucking hammer this point in until the day that I die. Harada lying about legacy characters being free absolutely pisses me off, okay? You promise characters that are gonna be free because they're legacy characters, and then you completely turn that shit around? Fuck you. You fucking idiot. And as for Geese, Noctis, and Negan, or Negon, whatever the fuck, pointless addition, wasted spot. Why the fuck would you make a joke about Lars? And the fact that someone actually made a remix using Noctis's announcer voice, but it's actually Lucky Chloe's, is actually very sad. It is very fucking sad that you have a little newcomer of the series who is once again used to character assassinate Eddie Gordo, a much more interesting character, although people fucking hated him due to how easy was until Tekken 4 replaced him with a much more hotter character. But people complain about that too, because she is, by the Smash Nerds equivalent, an Echo Fighter. That's until Tekken 5, 6 that you can actually unlock him per se, but you can't customize the best character. Oops! And then in Tekken Tag Tournament 2, they bring back Tiger, the ghetto Afro dude from Tekken 3, who, by a certain streamer's logic, a complete cornball, but who gives a shit? He's a brother from another mother, and he's got an afro, he's got shades, and he kicks ass. Who gives a shit? Projectiles do not fucking work in Tekken. Jinpachi and that shitty boss character from Tekken 6 should clearly tell you why. Even Soul Calibur never did projectile characters correctly. Even Algol, even though he was actually somewhat balanced, and people literally jumped the gun on how broken he was when Soul Calibur 4 was new. This is why you hardly see Street Fighter EX being a thing, or even those really shitty King of Fighters games being a thing, or even Mortal Kombat 4, even though it's technically 2D, but it has some sidestepping mechanics, or even when Mortal Kombat went full on 3D, and people hated it, and then when they went back to 2D, not they, them, but like actually NetherRealm, pronoun bullshit, it got a lot of flack for pretty much ruining the whole 2D formula. Ain't that a fucking shell shock? You make a game 3D, people hate it, and then they went back to their 2D roots, and they somehow managed to fuck it up more than making Mortal Kombat 3 unfucking balanced as shit. And even Trilogy even more. Fucking amazing. I'm not gonna really explain even further on Negan from The Walking Dead, other than the people who say that he should have been in Mortal Kombat. No. Guest characters do not need to reign supreme in a fucking fighting game series that has more than enough fucking characters. I'm just annoyed that Harada decided to lie about Tekken characters that were in the previous games being free, but they're completely going against his word. It's just as bad as Capcom releasing Street Fighter 2 characters as DLC, but remember, Namco and Capcom have to feed their starving kids Japan because it's not like there's a pandemic going on. Wait a minute. It's not like there's a war going on. Wait a minute. It's not like there's some other bullshit in the world that's probably not talked about nearly as much, but remember, there's both a pandemic and a war going on. I can't really speak too much about Noctis other than that it's a Final Fantasy 15 character, the game sucked, and 16's gonna suck even more. But remember, it's the best shit ever because Square does no wrong, except what bullshit have they been doing as of late? The jukebox mode, you know, the thing that's supposed to be a thing exclusive to PS4, where you can select the music from previous Tekken games, because the fucking music in this game sounds like fucking shit, and I don't care what version of Tekken 7 changes the music, they all sound fucking terrible. The character selection screen is about as bad as Mick Gordon's Doom Eternal soundtrack and even Doom 2016's, and I will not change my mind on that. That shit is literally noise to me, and I hate that I have to play the PS4 version only just to be able to change that shit. Even as shitty as that game is, at least that shit is not platform exclusive. Jesus Christ. I know that Tekken Tag Tournament 2 had that shit as DLC, but at least you could use it on all the versions, except the Wii U version, ironically enough. But whether you don't like the music or otherwise, at least the Tekken Tag Tournament 2 music doesn't make you want to blow your fucking brains out. Well, that depends on who you're talking to, but remember, I'm the dude who doesn't like Tekken 5 Dark Resurrection's soundtrack, at least compared to Tekken 5. It might be really good, it might not be, but I much prefer Tekken 5's soundtrack, and if you want a couple good examples, here you go. Seriously, you cannot tell me that this is better than this. Or that this is better than by comparison. And that's why, even though Tekken Tag Tournament 2 brought back musical remixes from past games, I like to change it back to the original, or even with Tekken 7, having songs that fit the stage of the game. And no, I'm not going to go on about how Ground Zero Funk isn't included because there's some really weird legal and gay issues about that So I can't get too mad at that, but remember, they're the ones that want me to let go of Akuma in Tekken 7, okay? They're the ones that want to rag on about this one fucking song not being included in the game. The DLC for Tekken Bull is fucking retarded, and the easy mode mechanics are also retarded. If people can deal with V-Trigger, then so can Rage Arts, but they're both retarded. No fighting game worth a goddamn should have easy mode comebacks this fucking easy. It should not have been a macro. You should actually fucking learn how to do that shit. I don't care for the online mode, but the tournament mode is actually one of the few good things that this game has done, because Soul Calibur 3 did it, except it wasn't anywhere near as annoying. But the fact that a lot of the costumes and shit that you have to earn by playing the game, you can't really farm fight money effectively unless you do tournaments in online mode. And even though if Michael, or whatever his fucking name is now, especially being a proud ally now, oops! You can't do tournaments in offline mode, which is fucking retarded, because that actually would be a decent way to make money. Just have the spots be filled by custom characters and maybe having a boss appear as a new challenger, like how the Tekken 5 Dojo mode has done in Dark Resurrection. Now, let's talk about Akuma, baby. Tekken 7 having Akuma is somehow a bad thing when I say it. Okay, I'm gonna explicitly state this because it has absolutely nothing to do with matchups, game balance, or anything of the sort. And I do not give a goddamn if he is tournament legal or not, even though tournaments say he should be banned. But whatever. It is by principle and mechanics for Tekken. Akuma and Geese ruined Tekken 7. Geese not so much as just DLC, and by modern fighting game logic, DLC characters don't have a fucking place in Tekken 7. Or any fighting game. But remember, Leroy, one of the returning characters in Tekken 8, had an awesome backstory where he fought in the Big Apple War. That's some fucking Giga Chad moment bullshit right there. Akuma not only ruined the gameplay of Tekken 7 because a Tekken character can just easily throw out fireballs, even though, yes, I know you can just sidestep the fucking thing, but you're playing Tekken, hand to hand. As a certain ninja would say, only a fool trusts his life to a weapon, but then uses the damn thing until you knock some sense into him. But okay, in all seriousness, who the fuck thought it was a good idea to turn Tekken into a projectile spam fest? The only characters that can do this shit effectively is Geese, Akuma, and Eliza. And even when Eliza did it in Tekken Revolution, Tekken is known for its mostly realistic depiction of kung fu fighting and martial arts, as with what Mortal Kombat did, except remember, that game completely ruined the story of Mortal Kombat when it was actually good, but I'll digress. Tekken, for the most part, was all about hand-to-hand combat, which is fine, and that's why you have Soul Calibur for the weapon styles, and even other fighting games that have projectiles and other nonsense so it make people cream themselves. Imagine you're watching a Bruce Lee movie, or even any famous martial artist movie, except it just goes completely 180 and you have characters throwing Hadoukens and Shoryukens and even doing laser beams out of their eyes and shit. It'd be fucking retarded. Okay, and even the few characters that have things like that, there's a reason why it has negative frame advantages if you miss, or even characters like Jack, or even, what the hell is his name, Miguel, having one-hit KO moves that are easily punishable, and you're meant to use them at the right time. They're not something that can be easily spammed. Akuma's fireball should not be easily spammed, even if you can just sidestep them. It's just fucking dumb, okay? If I want to play Street Fighter, I'll play Street Fighter. If I want to play BlazBlue, I'll play BlazBlue. That's another game I like, by the way. I still gotta play the Roguelite. Or, I'm sorry, Rogue Light. Why are people so fucking autistic about the fucking genre of Rogue? I'd rather go with Rouge, honestly. Oh, that's the real American spirit. Wait. The principle of Akuma's movesets just do not fucking work in a Tekken game, or whatever hand-to-hand combat game Tekken wants to be, okay? It's the same shit with Geese and even Eliza. Projectile characters should not be a fucking thing in Tekken. If they really wanted to go for that stupid shit, they should have done Tekken Cross Street Fighter, which somehow Namco can just get away with hyping up the greatest crossover since Street Fighter Cross Tekken, and they're just completely dropping it because they have other better things to do than hyping up the second half of a crossover game that was actually terrible because Capcom completely mucked it up with fucking shitty-ass DLC and other really weird balancing shit, but whatever. But remember, guys, Capcom redeemed themselves with Street Fighter 6, except it took fucking a damn near half a decade just to fucking make the correct version of the fucking game. Fuck you. So, gameplay-wise, Akuma completely breaks the flow of Tekken on a principle of Tekken. I don't care that he's a glass cannon, or he can just easily sidestep, or whatever the fuck. I've gone on rants about this and people legit got in my case about it, and the fact that I got a really shitty Steam notification about it, yeah, the beast has awakened once again. Isn't it funny that Ultra Street Fighter 2 kind of did this very same thing with the likes of Evil Ryu and Violent Ken? It'd be like having a BlazBlue character in that shit, and yet people want to fucking call me autistic and get you Spurja over Akuma being tournament legal. What the fuck ever. Anyway, but let me talk about the real reason why I cannot stand this fucker, okay? If you're just playing the character, whatever, it's one thing, even though I completely disagree with the spirit and principle of a Street Fighter character being in a Tekken game. The main reason why I can't stand Akuma is because of his relevance in the story, and this is the thing that really pissed me off. Everyone says that, oh, well, he barely had any screen time. He's the main catalyst for whatever. These fucking people who I talk about this shit, even some people who are chill with this thing, they cannot just think, like the I'm the Man meme, they cannot think for a goddamn second as to why any story worth a goddamn just having a really shitty arc or an installment, or having a guest character from an IP that's not even part of that established franchise and completely shitting all over a story is bad writing, okay? I'll give you a couple examples. And even someone on my Discord can vouch for this, because I actually talked to him about this. Imagine if a Super Dragon Ball arc came out and there was a really fancy crossover with Shonen Jump characters because, you know, Dragon Ball is part of Shonen Jump. And then there's another arc that gets introduced afterwards that has One Punch Man coming into the flare and just beating the shit out of everyone, okay? That would really piss off some people, even if you are a diehard fan of both franchises. You want to stay in your lane of One Punch Man? That's fine. If you still care for Dragon Ball, that's fine. But these two entities should not cross over and make it fucking canon, okay? What about the whole Goku versus Superman thing? Let's say that DC makes a new movie with Superman and shit, and then just out of the fucking blue, you see Goku appear, and they just basically doomsday Superman, okay? That should be really fucking lame, because people get legit autistic over the fucking whole debate of Goku versus Superman, but then when Arika Toriyama, or whoever the writer is for One Punch Man, makes that shit canon, that's when it just enters bad writing and just wanting to please people who clap whenever they recognize a character. And yes, I did reference that Star Wars Rogue One review, because it's too fucking relevant nowadays. Every fucking time something gets referenced, people just clap, and they don't even know what the fuck they're clapping for. They just look at the applause thing and just clap, except in the place of applause, it's random references, nothing to do with anything. I fucking hate this shit. I mentioned Akuma being a main part of the story.
Actually...
Yes, he fucking is. I do not give a shit if he does not have any story battles near as much compared to Jin, or Kazuya, or Heihachi. The whole point of my rant about Akuma ruining Tekken 7's story, and by the way, I have done several tweets about this. You can just search up my username and just put Akuma in the quotes. You can find all this shit. But I'm going to paraphrase this in video form, as angry as I am, because I am sick and tired of having to explain myself when people say I need to let go of shit. I'm gonna hammer it in one last time, as I said, because there is still speculation that Akuma might come back. As with people who want to argue with me about things that may not be there, but they want to push their own headcanon and confirm that it's real. Well, my headcanon is that Akuma did survive that blast in Tekken 7 after being completely annihilated by Devil Kazuya, and then just comes back for no random reason. It's fucking stupid, okay? And games have done that before. Hell, Tekken 5 did it before with Heihachi. You never know. He might come back. It's just like people don't like Mega Man because they keep bringing Dr. Wily back for no fucking reason. And even when Mega Man 4, 5, and 6 have a Secondary villain, oh, it's Dr. Wily. It's why Mega Man and Mega Man X get memed so much, because they always keep bringing back Sigma when they don't fucking need to, okay? It's really fucking stupid. And I swear to God, if Capcom actually does make a Mega Man X9 and makes Sigma the main fucking villain, then congratulations. You just made everyone's point valid, except when I do it, because I'm in the wrong for having this so-called grudge with Akuma ruining the story, when you damn well know that there are other games, let alone other pieces of media, that have ruined established IPs before, except he was summoned by fucking Kazumi Ninja, a character who's been the most important fucking Tekken character in all of Tekken lore, and then they're just like, oh, let's have Akuma come back and just be canon now. That's the thing that pissed me off. A guest character being fucking canon is shitty writing. I do not give a shit what IP does it. That is fucking bad writing. Especially for Tekken that has a lot more interesting characters, and just even easily replacing Akuma with fucking Eliza, and it probably rewritten her to be nowhere near as a joke compared to her narcolepsy bullshit, and I probably wouldn't even really give a shit, because a lot of people don't even like Tekken 7's story. The fucking narrator that does all the announcements sounds fucking bored as hell. He's some sort of photographer or some shit. Even the main story of Tekken 7 just makes no fucking sense. But remember, you can't criticize Akuma being in Tekken 7 because he doesn't have that much prominence, except he's summoned by a fucking character who has more lore than fucking Dark Souls, Bloodborne, Demon Souls, Sekiro, and Elden Ring combined. Actually worth a goddamn. But Harada got so fucking lazy, and Michael wanted to give that good publicity and just said, fuck it. Let's kill Tekken Cross Street Fighter, shoot it behind the head like Old Yeller, or even more fucked up, the opening of Wolfenstein 2, the game with good gameplay but bad story, but The Last of Us Part 2 gets a fucking pass. How the fuck does that work, by the way? And just basically give people a chance to cream themselves because, oh my god, it's Akuma, baby, in Tekken 7, except he has more story relevance and is actually taken seriously compared to other characters like Lucky Chloe or any of the other newcomers, but just written to be shitty jokes. It really says something that even Yoshimitsu, a mainstay character since Tekken fucking 1, and still not sure what the fuck gender Leo is, and just turn into a really shitty hentai joke. But you can't criticize Akuma being a fucking prevalent character in the story, even though I gave very good reasons as to why. Now, all my bitching aside, what if Tekken 8 actually doesn't bring him back? Then great. But he shouldn't have fucking been there to begin with. Those who do not learn from history are doomed to repeat it. Even if Akuma doesn't come back in Tekken 8, which I hope to God he doesn't, Tekken 7's story will forever be ruined by having a guest character from another fucking fighting game that was supposed to be part of a collaboration project that Namco completely ditched over, by the way. And if Tekken 8 actually makes it better, then great. But until that shit comes out, there's going to be plenty of speculation that Akuma might come back. You know how people say, oh, well, what's your proof? But you want to make your headcanon legit? That's my fucking headcanon. Until Harada says otherwise, or Michael, or whoever the fuck, I will assume that Akuma comes back. I do not want to have to talk about this shit ever again, okay? This is the last time I'm talking about this in its own dedicated form. I may bring it up from time to time if it's relevant, like with Elden Ring. That is my stance on this shit. And fuck you if you disagree. Tekken is too good for such shit. Especially when Soul Calibur 6 actually did it even better, ironically enough, by having Joel appear for one mission and that's it. He's not even relevant to the story. He appears in like one mission and that's it. That's what fucking Tekken 7 should have did. And if they wanted to do this bullshit, actually release Tekken Cross Street Fighter like you fucking promised, and not hold back in such nonsense. And I do not want to hear that bullshit that Sonic fans have come up with, that they need to refine the formula first before they can actually perfect it. Bullshit. Namco has made excellent games that are not just Tekken. They are more than competent enough. They're just fucking lazy. And that's why a lot of developers nowadays reuse assets to the point of being blatantly obvious. And I'm not talking about simple animations, but actual mechanics and other things like Capra Demon Lookalike. That is not a clever throwback. That's just being fucking lazy, and people will clap anyway because it's something they recognize. Fuck you. Now, that being said, I have better things to do. I'm gonna go play a much better Namco game, actually. Double ASMR, crackle knucking goodness. This is ScapeROMFiles, and I will see you all next file. Thanks for watching, and take care. Wait a minute, is there something I'm missing? Oh yeah, I forgot. Harada, you're a fucking idiot!
You are an idiot!